If you can know the shape of yourself, and firm boundaries give to responsibility, trust, and expectation. If you can know the shape of yourself, and won't dissolve as brittle lips let love slip to suspicion and rank divide. If your empathy knows no bounds, feels every discreet flinch, where does your body begin? And what can your actions beget another? The human is anchored by character, definite in opinion, diverse in appearance. Between the weight of love and the lightness of being is the holding and the releasing, the breath, the speech, the tending of silences, and the conversation for consensus.
I think about this idea of whether you can influence people's behavior or whether everything is already written and you're just waiting for fate to unroll. Like, if I'm sitting in the street busking and in that practice I'm waiting for somebody to come up and talk to me, and nobody has for a while, sometimes I begin to try and act in ways that will make it easier for people to approach me, and invariably this fails, and I wonder if you can influence things or whether you're just a participant. As soon as you've made your action, you just need to wait and let people come to you. I just heard the story of Loki for the first time, the Norse God of Chaos. And I think in Christian tradition, what Christian tradition lacks is this trickster god, which is common in a lot of different cultures. So in Norse mythology, it was embodied by Loki. In different mythologies, the trickster is embodied by different people. But what the trickster does is disrupt the perfect order of the world in order to bring free will and choice, and the result of free will and choice is chaos. To a large extent, the things that happen to us do not seem to be within our control in an explicit way, but there are certain points at which the threads of what feels like destiny or magic working beneath the surface do come into accord. And I like to think that by leading a good life, or leading in a way that is in accord with the situation of life, and struggling at the right moments and not struggling at the wrong moments, you can feel, or I have felt in my life, this idea of destiny seeming to open up and mad coincidences all rhyming and chiming together throughout space-time. The way that things have happened in my life seem to be that I go through trials, and only when I've opened myself up to that trial and gone through it do other things appear and happen in really mysterious ways that I'm not fully in control of, but will not appear unless I open myself up. I need to be involved in this pursuit of life as an active choice.
Everything we do is our choice, or used to be, because whatever we're doing now and however we're behaving now, it's like it's like it comes from some pressures from society, from people, from parents, from friends. So we're just constantly creating what we are and how we behave and what we are. So there's not much nature left in humans. Not much nature like within animal world. So actually everything in human is against nature. So yeah, so definitely we can, at least we can try, and we have a chance to think where we're going and direct our way. So definitely there are some pressures that makes us to do what we have to do, but maybe 60% we're free to choose, and we are pretty much have free will, and we can change. So we're not like predestined or from above to do whatever is written in the stars or something like this. No, we don't have. I don't think we have like a purpose before we create it. So, and then we're not happy if someone else give us the purpose. So, for me, the best way is just to find a purpose, create it, and follow it, whatever that could be. So that could be like a financial freedom or love or family. So that would be the success, just creating a goals and achieving those goals. I think it's quite natural for kids to think about it, and then when we get older, the life just takes precedence, and we stop thinking about it that much. We think more, we concentrate on short-term problems and life. But no, definitely everyone should stop from time to time and think where we are now, where we are going, or where I am now and where I'm going and where I should go.
You need to do the things you love. You need people you love. You know, your life isn't going to flourish if you're doing things you don't enjoy, if you're around people that you don't enjoy, you know. So you've got to find something that makes your life flourish, you know. But I think it's also about how you treat other people as well, you know, because if you don't love people, if you don't if you're not positive with other people, you're not going to have, you know, positivity yourself, you know. So no, I think you have to believe in something, because you have to believe that what you're doing is worth it. I think you have to believe that, you know, the people in your life are worth it. You've got to, I mean, if you don't believe in anything, like literally anything, then there is no point to anything. So you have to believe in something. You have to believe there's some reason to do things. You know, you have to, at least, you know, you have to believe, you know, in yourself, you know, as well. You have to have some sort of a confidence, some sort of a love of what you're doing. But I think as well, for me, like, you know, obviously, you know, I do musical theatre, and that has totally changed my life for the better. It's made me a much more confident person. It's made me a much more happy and fulfilled person. And before that, before I had musical theatre, I didn't really have anything that made me feel that way, and I was very stressed all the time, and I was, you know, very sort of miserable, basically. So I think, you know, I don't know. I believe that everyone has something that they're destined to do, and people that they're destined to impact in their lives. So, I think that's how you would live a flourishing life, by doing the things you're destined to do and being with the people you're destined to be with. You know, so.
came from quite a liberal family that was always very accepting. Even my grandparents were incredibly accepting and always taught us to get to know people first, don't judge them on anything else. And I think that's just stuck with me throughout my life. And it's just that want to get to know people. I like people. I like interacting with people. I like helping people figure out how their own brains work, how their own feelings work. And maybe in some way it's selfish because I get something out of that, and knowing that I've helped somebody see themselves a little bit better. But I don't think it's been a particular incident that made me think I want to go and work in the care sector, but it's always been something that's in me since I was a little girl. So. And as I said, we deal with people with vulnerable adults down at the gardens and with learning disabilities, and that most of them would see themselves as anything but normal. But from the other side, I think maybe it helps people see a different side to humanity, and it gives people an opportunity to show compassion and empathy. Then they may not see that otherwise, because the thing about particularly people with learning disabilities more than mental health is they show you what society's really like because they often try and be so-called normal. So they'll watch what you think you're meant to watch on TV and say what you think is meant to be said. So it kind of reflects about what society's like around you. And I think that's a really important thing, because sometimes it's a bit terrifying to think that's what we project, because they don't necessarily read between the lines. So they give a reflection of who's around them, and I think that maybe is a very good opportunity for other people to see how they come over and the impact they have that they may not otherwise realise. And it's very hard to be yourself, incredibly hard to be yourself, and it takes guts to be yourself. And I think that's maybe what kind of vulnerable adults and that are, let us see that it's okay to be yourself, and that you don't have to put on an air and grace, and you don't have to pretend to be the biggest, butchest person around, that we impact each other, and it's okay to impact somebody by just being you.
Recently, literally recently, I have such a strong vision, if you want to use this word, of me. I can feel it. I can feel myself. I feel who I am. I'm convinced, and I feel it very strong, I want by choice to kind of maintain this, but it's a little bit of an effort of every day, almost every second, every minute, every situation. But I feel very comfortable feeling this way, very peaceful, very truthful with myself. I think it's love. I'm convinced it's who I am. It's just my choice if I let it be or not. Which sometimes it's really difficult, because as a human being, I've got terrible fears. But I stopped being afraid of being afraid. Yeah. I think, what comes to my mind now, I think, that's what we basically call God. I don't like this word. But I think we just made a deal and we call it God. I see God. I see God in me. Not that I am God, but I feel God in me. And if I act letting it speak through me, I feel me.
Well, I would say a good life is one where you are connecting with nature and sort of eating as well as you can with lots of organic food. I think a virtuous life is also about the way you treat other people. So I would say treating other people the way I would like to be treated myself is part of a virtuous life. To live each day as it comes and be sort of be full of joy for what the day has brought. Look for the positives and the things that are not positive in your life, then look upon them as opportunities to improve either your life or the life of others. I just enjoy the simple things in life. I enjoy nothing better than sitting outside, feeling the wind and the sun on my face. I enjoy watching children playing, listening to their laughter. I enjoy helping people who need help. And again, just appreciating all the wonderful creation around us. The blue skies, the white puffy clouds, and all living things. Watching the different seasons. I think that is the real me, appreciating just the simple things in life.
Right now, I'm pretty pessimistic. I think the whole climate scenario is terrifying and seems to be going even faster than Andy thought. And there doesn't seem to be a recognition on a lot of people's part that it's even happening, never mind preparing for it. And again, I think the first reaction, particularly in contemporary Western society, is to put up the walls and put up the barriers, and look after your own rather than take care of the people who really need it, which, as usual, are poor people on the margins. I suppose the key thing is the definition of the community. Because, some people would see themselves as helping their community, but they might have a very narrow definition of what that community is, and not have any sense of obligation or compassion for people out with whatever that community might be, geographical, religious, political, racial, whatever. But it does, and also it feels like that notion is under threat. I mean, that seems to have been the foundation of Western societies more or less since the Second World War, and that seems to have been eroded heavily, certainly in this country and in the US, and you can see it happening elsewhere in Europe as well. People have very embedded ideas of the truth which are diametrically opposed. Debate seems to be going in a binary direction. You know, seems harder for people to recognize shades of grey. And I think virtually everything is in shades of grey. The great concern at this point in time is what's going to happen with climate. And I think that the idea of permanent growth and everybody having a great standard of living and material benefits is no longer viable. So what there is going to have to be shared more widely, I think. Whether that'll happen, I don't know.
We are too aware of our own existence. We are very intelligent, and we maybe overthink. We think about everything that we do. And if we were to truly let go and go back to how we maybe would have been when we were closer to nature, then we might be happier. But we're driven by objects, we're driven by needing money to buy things and needing to material things. And I believe that we would find it very difficult to live without stuff, without objects. And I think that's one of the reasons that we could never ever be as just natural as animals, because it's almost like we're too advanced. There's certain things that we're taught from a young age that's important to us that I don't think necessarily is. You're taught at school that you need to be smart to get a job, to get a good job, to get money. We're taught that certain jobs are not as worthy as other jobs. I believe that everybody's success is very personal to them, and it is different to every single person. For me, it's marrying the man of my life, the man of my dreams. It's bringing up a beautiful daughter. It's just living day-to-day life, being happy with yourself, loving yourself, and being proud of yourself. Just trying to be a good person, what I believe is a good person. Just to be happy.
Suffering is horrible at the time, but you do kind of learn from it, and you can learn to stay away from situations that you've been in previously that might make you feel awful or have a negative outcome. Definitely, I would say suffering is pretty essential, as long as it's not the worst feeling in the world. You do need suffering to sort of understand yourself. Think of yourself, but also think of others. Mainly think of yourself, because you can kind of think of others too much and then end up in a situation where you haven't really focused on yourself enough and you don't know how to control things in your own head. So I would say just try and find inner peace. It took me a long time to get to a place where I feel like I have a bit of inner peace, so I wouldn't want to give it up. So we're born and we don't really have a lot going on, and then we go to school and we don't have a lot going on, and then we have to start figuring out what we're going to be doing with ourselves from there. It's not like we're born with a purpose. Well, some people maybe are born with a purpose, to be fair, but I certainly wasn't. I just had to figure things out as I went along, and I've kind of ended up where I am, which is fine, but I had to create that for myself, I suppose. Definitely know yourself. Definitely need to know how to figure yourself out, figure out what's going on in your head, how to combat that. And other people can try and help, but they're not really going to help. They're just going to give their opinions on things. So knowing how to figure yourself out and deal with everything that you've got in your own head is a massive thing. So I would say knowing yourself is way more important than knowing others, even though that makes me sound like a loner.
Life just gets so hard. All we do is sleep, eat, work, repeat. Like, there's got to be some sort of way that we could all manage to live a life where we could express ourselves. And instead of expressing ourselves and to person, what we are doing is we are treating our phones like diaries, pouring all our hearts out to that, and it makes us live in our mind. And then people can't really express themselves. I know what I'm trying to say, but I can't find the words to express myself. So what happened when I started writing, I actually had a wee mini breakdown, because I couldn't get my words out 2 years ago. My dad bought me a dictionary, a wee pocket dictionary. And I learned to articulate myself through writing, so that's what I do. Like, all my spoken words poems, it's all my opinions through writing, but off the cuff I find it difficult, because it's just, I don't know, it's just hard to find the right words at the right time for me. When I'm writing how I feel on a bit of paper, I'm coming to terms with how I feel, and I've got a poem called A Letter to Humanity, so that is probably... Can I say it for you? Can I do it? To all Homo sapiens, what kind of shit are we creating? I'm looking around at the mess we are leaving our kids, nephews and nieces, picking up the pieces. Poverty, debt and war, but what for? It's the need for greed so we could individually succeed. What happened to the power of the humanity? Or is this the vicious circle of humanity? Is it just me, or are we enslaved with humanity? Slow down and face the facts of your reality. Instead of being destructive, we could start being constructive. We could shape the society, develop the mentality, remove the hierarchy, and yes, everyone can own their own property with food on the table. And does it really need that label? Big brands taking over, working class getting bent over, big brands sitting on the thrones of these working class bones. We could build our own structure where no one is left behind to suffer. We're all riding shotgun, leaders not promoting shotgun. Races all divided, nah, races all united. We could just be friends, because in the end, it's the end. With love, just another Homo sapien.
In my opinion, I think the imbalance in financial situations around the world causes a bit of injustice, because someone might not have the same opportunities I have. Although I'm not rich, I can, for example, go to the hospital right now when I need healthcare because I've paid into the NHS. And, well, everyone working pays into the NHS. Whereas in some places around the world, you have to have money to go to the hospital. We call it cash and carry. Without the money, you don't get the medical help you need. And to me, that's injustice, because it's not all equal. I think it's, in my opinion, people who are rich are seeking to be richer. And however much poor people try to get on their feet, that's how I find the rich are always capitalizing on the poor. to get them richer. And so there's always that imbalance, rather than the rich helping the poor to establish, let's say, a business for themselves, for example, so they can earn for themselves. The rich would rather want the poor to run a business for them, for the rich. And that's kind of keeps that injustice going. So there's always that imbalance.
Empathy is an important element in human attitude or behavior, where they feel for others, they feel the pain for others. But unfortunately, sometimes that empathy is not present. A person is not empathic, he's not showing empathy to someone because of the fact that he is worshipping himself. He thinks about himself. There is no altruism, there's no feelings for others. And that's when people, rather than helping others, they try to destroy the lives of others. Yes? But there are other sections of human beings who have empathy, and they feel the pain and suffering of others. So what they should be really doing is, first and foremost, they should guide those people who are creating the sufferings to stop doing that. Also, together with that, they should try to help those who are in the state of trouble and suffer, to alleviate them and to take them out of that problem. Otherwise, that feeling of hurt will be left with them when they see themselves that they're helping others, come out of those problems, and they're really working for their well-being. They will feel happy themselves. So those who have empathy, those who have feelings for others, they should work to better the lives of those people who are suffering. And those people who do not have empathy and have the habit of causing more problems to others, they should come to a realization, or someone has to make them to realize that what they are doing, it's not good. If the coin had turned the other way, because the human suffering usually is created by human beings themselves. And if they really realize the fact that, if I were the victim, and the victim was the one who was creating that suffering, how would I feel? There is an emptiness in the meaning of empathy on those who create human suffering.
There was this beautiful poem I wrote one time called The Dash. And it was basically about the dashes on your gravestone the years that you lived, and how it's not really about what happens after. It's about what mark you leave, what memory you leave, how people you leave people feeling. And tomorrow, if something happened to me, and obviously I would be dead, so I wouldn't be able to be upset about it. But I think that I as long as people leave with a warm feeling about me, and that they have these positive memories and positive engagements with me, that they can carry on, and I can live in that spirit for a long time. I think the world would be such a wonderful place if everyone was just kind to each other. Everyone's dealing with something, and people come from all walks of life, and we come from all different areas and communities and societies and socio-economic issues and privileges, and I think that it's important that you make yourself happy, and by making yourself happy, you make other people happy, and you show compassion and kindness. I think, there's a lot. You could sit here and say that everyone needs to be kind, and I could go, and that's so easy for me to say. And then there's going to be some days that I'm not going to be a nice person because, my mum's been horrible to me, or no, my mum's never horrible to me, but, because I've fallen out with someone, or I've got no money and I'm skint, so I'm taking that out on everybody else. And I think if we remember everyone's fighting their own battles, and the line of it is when it comes to, you know, injustice and oppression, I firmly believe that it's education that's where we're lacking. We're lacking the education to teach people how to look after themselves, to teach people how to build for themselves, to teach people how to grow and treat other people with kindness, and to be self-aware as well, and to realise that, you know, to help other people, we help ourselves as well. And I think, there is oppression, and there's always going to be oppression. However, if everybody showed those who are oppressed, if we showed them kindness, then we would all be hopefully a better place. I don't know. But I'm an optimist, so as you can tell.
I'm happy with my son, and I teach to have respect to people, to everything, to nature. It doesn't matter what kind of job he will have, but he must be good and respectful. Because I'm like that maybe, and I want he will be the same like me. I think words is not very good now. I just want to believe it is, but sometimes I see it's not. And maybe must change something. I think maybe people must change their way of thinking, how they think, because they are sometimes very rude and sometimes destroy everything around them. Lots of wars, lots of maybe too many people on this planet, and maybe more people, that's why more violence and more destruction. People must be more respectful to each other and to everything around. Just to be good, good person. Just to be a good person and have respect to everyone and respect to nature. This is important for me. Because nature can protect, and we must protect the nature, and this is important. If nature doesn't exist, we will die as well, because this is important for people.
I think to be living on planet Earth, your body has to be looked after just as much as your soul does, and we abuse our bodies completely with all the chemicals and drugs and toxins that we're feeding, the pollution that we're inhaling in our bodies. That changes your makeup. You have to find a balance between both of them, and we're lost between should you follow your mind or follow your body type thing. You have to look after your mind, body and soul all as a one package equally to be able to live in this day and earth. Our NHS, yeah, it's great, but it's stripped us away from the ability to understand that the body can heal itself. The body can heal itself, and sometimes just even a touch, a massage. It's been on the go for thousands of years, before we even had medicines, before even that. And that is what I do, my hands are my tools, and sometimes somebody just coming into me and just having a chat, giving them a hug, like, you wouldn't even believe how much of a difference that can make in somebody. And just seeing that and realising that we don't need the doctors to be giving us all these pills and tablets for pains and ailments. Even the chemicals that the doctors are using came from like herbal remedies that we don't even use anymore. And all the pharmaceutical companies, you know, they're profiting from this, when really you could just go out, and if we had the right knowledge and understanding, you could probably pick something from your garden that would help you. But we've lost it all. We've lost it all completely. We're humans, like, our instincts. We were put on this planet to, like, hunt and fend for ourselves, and all of these instincts are being stripped away from us. You know, we don't even have to go to the shop anymore. We can have things delivered. We're losing human touch. We're losing the ability to be able to connect to another human one-to-one. We're suppressed so much to the way that we think and the way that we feel and the way that we should speak, and we get lost. And to try and come back through that, it is very hard. But yeah, suppose, you know, sometimes I cry and I wonder, why am I crying? Like, where is this coming from? Is it my soul weeping? Is it our soul trying to express ourselves? I don't know. Maybe it is.
The beauty of our souls or minds, it's be growing for all our lives. Body is maybe growing and blooming to a certain point, and then it's dying, which is very visible and you cannot hide it. At least you have, I don't know, plenty of Botox and operations, but the mind is still there. And plus I'm working with people who have dementia, and I can see that exactly. The mind and soul can, I think, become in many different forms, can transfer to things we never expected. The soul and the mind, because I think they are most connected than the body, can be anything really. We cannot have control. Plus, I'm sorry, but we're living in a times where we're using alcohol, drugs, different things to make us feel differently. So you're constantly experimenting on what you feel, how you are inside. Your body is just a tool and a box for it. So the body will gonna react only the way you treat the body, and have some limits, which mind, I don't think, have a limits. We should explore, and depends how you're gonna do it. You will be probably struggle to draw in your body your soul. That's something probably we work on all our life, to describe our soul. Some of us doesn't really want to show exactly what we have inside, outside. So this is like hiding soul under the body, which, you know, it's very confusing. So I think that's exactly why I'm making my art, to understand why I am, what I am, why I am, what I'm doing in life. Making art is something that you're taking out of you, and it's something that it's almost like a vomit, I think. Making art is exactly whatever you have inside, it's good. You spit it out and you have it, even it's bad or good, whatever. It's not gonna harm anyone. Maybe some people will get upset, but this is still just, you know, vomiting something outside your soul or body, and people doesn't have to like it. People can exactly have bad reaction to it, but this is not harm. It's just piece of art. It's just a vomit of our soul.
Michelangelo's Pietà. Michelangelo takes a block of Carrara marble and carves a Pietà. Now, I'm non-religious. It's nothing to do with religion. It's just a man can take a hammer and chisel and bring out of that block of marble that wonderful piece of work. I just can't understand it. It's just, I can sit and look at that all day and get peace of mind, you know. It's the way the artist has taken a cold white Carrara marble and carved this image. It's just unbelievable. You can see the veins, you can see the body isn't the body's alive. I mean, it's just phenomenal, really. And I could sit and watch it all day. I see it for what it is. I'm not a Buddhist or anything like that, but that to me is just phenomenal. Every day, I'm thankful that I can look at a Rembrandt and know what makes it a Rembrandt, or a Picasso, or whatever, you know, a Michelangelo, and know what it is. Most people just look at it and walk on, but I know what it is, and I know what's behind it, and what the artist was thinking about when he did it, you know. So that's something I've got that I treasure above everything else, you know. Well, I like to paint huge. I mean, I'd love to paint huge. I just love it. I love holding the big brush. And it's nothing to do with money or whatever, or fame or anything. It's to do with the performance that you go through to do that, you know. I just love it. And I just love what people broadly call art. Now, how am I an artist? I don't know. Born with it? Yeah, of course you are. This way of looking at things. You tend to sit on the fence as an artist and observe society as it goes by. You know, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm lying in bed thinking, I think I'll do a mural with a chimpanzee looking at a skull, you know. 3 o'clock in the morning. And, you know, so I mean, I don't know, you can't define that really. But most artists understand artists. So that's what's separate from society, you know.
I'm a street poet. My poetry, I think it works better in the street, yeah. And plus it's free for everyone. You don't need to pay or book any, yeah. I just think it's a cool thing, street poetry on the street. It's like graffiti's on the street. Street poetry should be on the street, yeah. Because we're street poets. Keeping it real, yeah. Back to basics. It's sort of like in the tradition of Dundee, if you look back, there was a poet from Dundee called McGonagall, like over 100 years ago. He used to do poetry in the streets. He wasn't popular because he used to get like fucking vegetable thrown at him, but he didn't care, he kept doing it, yeah. And now he's a legend among Dundonians, yeah. And even if you think poetry, going back to the basics of time, around the campfire, people would do poetry, tell stories. It's connecting with each other, yeah, without any technology. So just going back to spirituality, to our human nature. It's like just keeping it basic, yeah. No, I never announce your human nature. I'd like to go back and connect more with human nature, spirituality, yeah. I'm not too keen on technology, apart from this microphone. But yeah, I've read a lot about spirituality and like ancient civilizations, yeah, and I would like to connect more with spirituality, yeah, definitely. I started writing my poetry about 10 years ago, like, and before that I was I didn't have a lot of confidence, yeah, I didn't like excel at school or that, so I discovered, like I'm 40 now, yeah, I discovered poetry when I was like 30, but I was writing just to myself, not sharing it, and then I started sharing it about when I was 32, 33, just on Facebook writing it, yeah, and then started making videos, yeah, and they went like viral and that, so it's just basically, it's to help me as a person to grow, but it's obviously my message, so I want to spread this message of love, peace, and obviously funny poems as well. Like I like to make people laugh, yeah, because one of the main things to make people feel better is to laugh, so that's why a lot of my poems are quite humorous, yeah, to make people laugh, and I'd like to inspire other people to write, to give you confidence, just to come out your shell, yeah. So just express yourself through, whether it's poetry, music, art, yeah, just do something, yeah, positive, to make sure you're happy within yourself, within your soul, which is probably the most important thing, because I wouldn't say you could make other people happy if you're not happy within yourself, yeah. So self-preservation, I think, comes first, so you could also add that to other people's lives, yeah.
In here, I can connect to myself, okay, and I can be alone with what is in my head, without hearing human noises. What I'm filtering through myself, like to music, is like a lot of people because we need to put words to things. They use the word God. What I feel is like, what comes through me, it's, basically the same thing as, other people would describe as God, but I don't describe it this way. I don't have a name for it, but everything which comes into me and goes out into the music is exactly this. It's, this thing, and also, what are my feelings and, my emotions and my struggles, my worries, or my happiness, everything I filter into my music. Like, this is the output is basically me in a musical form. So sometimes I record something and I listen to it and I have no idea how they recorded that. It's just incredible. Like, it's like not almost me, and you've got that moment when I'm trying to like replay it and I cannot, because you go through that moment, which, and you capture it and you cannot do it again. And you've got this feeling that, this is just what happened here, So I don't have a definite answer to this. Maybe I will one day, but, I'm happy to be on this journey. Yeah, that's what I do in here.
My passion is my garden, and it gives me a lot of pleasure to be out in my garden, the flowers, and I can go out to my garden and I can relax, and time passes and maybe pick up leaves, or every day I walk through my garden and every day there is something different happening. Yeah, and I don't have a big garden, I have a smallish garden. And I think each individual flower it tells a story. It's friends have given me cuttings of plants and plants that I've put in my garden, and I can say maybe they've died, but I can say, oh, that belonged to so and so, and I call them by the person's name, and it's something that, yeah, I remember them by. I get great pleasure from that. Mm-hmm. I think arranging flowers and doing anything with flowers is very, very relaxing. And I suppose it's nature, and just to see the wonderful colours. In the autumn, things die back, and then you see a little shoot coming through in the spring. I take a note of my first snowdrop, and that blooms, and it gives me a great pleasure to see whatever's popping up. Yeah, and I think here we are, another year, another cycle. Yeah, and the seasons as well. It goes through the cycle. It dies, and then all of a sudden they're popping up again in a month or two later in the spring. Yeah, and blossom on the trees. There again, it's a cycle. You get your blossom, and then it bursts into little sort of seedling things, and then the next thing you've got an apple, and it changes colour, and then it's from green and then bright red, and then we eat it. I think nature's wonderful, really, how things, even children, how they grow from small to big, and how the whole thing is a cycle of life. And I suppose flowers is just part of it. Yeah, I just like nature, especially in flowers.
I'm not happy about giving my ideas on life after death. So far as I'm concerned, I see death on the farm every week or every so often. Death doesn't mean a lot to me. I grieve if I've lost an animal or whatever, or a relation, but I don't believe there is life after death. I was brought up to go to church, to Sunday school, and as what you would say a pupil at school, your teacher was always right. She knew, or you thought she knew best. But I've learned that it's an opinion. If you pick up a newspaper and you hear these people being interviewed on television, and they say, but oh, I read that on television that so-and-so did such and such. What you're reading is what the editor has written. It's his opinion. Now, is his opinion any more important than my opinion? No, I don't think so. We're all born even, and we'll all die the same. But I don't believe once we go, that's it. Your thoughts of the people that you've left behind are still going to be. I mean, I still think of my father a lot. I still quote my father with lots of things, you know. I remember his pet saying, to go back to the weather we've just had there 2-3 minutes ago, he said, if farmers could control the weather, they would drown each other out because it's competition, you know. I'm going to flood them, but I'm going to be fine. I'll not be having it. Look at the floods we're having right now, you know, and down south. They all had their own sayings. Another good saying, and again back to life after death and all the rest of it. What's afore ye? In other words, what's in front of you? What's afore ye? I'll not go by ye. It'll not pass you. So if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. It's not going to suddenly disappear. There's a lot of old Scots sayings that are very true. Maybe they were a bit wiser than we are, actually. Who knows?
We all look for money. We're all looking out to make money, and we see money and material things as a measure of success. And where I suppose from my point of view, where I'm myself and my wife are comfortably off and don't need money, is that success? I see more of my success in my family, in the behaviour and what the way my family behaves, my kids, my grandkids. I see that, and I think of them and look at them and see what they do and think, yes, they're my success. That's how I'm measuring my success. I was saying I'm a Christian and I believe in an afterlife, but my fear is, it's not a fear, it's more I would like to see a family that I'm really proud of and I measure my success by. I'd like to see them for longer than whatever I'm allowed to see them, however long it is. I'd like to see more. I'd like to see great-grandchildren. So my fear of death is that I lose contact with my family, direct contact. Do I fear death in as much that nothing else will be after it? And no, I don't. I believe there will be something after it. Peace. Image of peace. It's very much a calm sea. Peaceful sea. Maybe waves lapping. Not big waves, but just something breaking on a beach or the edge of a loch. And nature. And basically, apart from the birds and the lapping of the waves, something very quiet.
Sitting in a field with the sun, some flowers, meditating.
White clouds and a blue sky, a bit of wind. And being up high, On a mountaintop.
A lonely beach and just hear water and winds.
Around the mountains, and there's a beautiful, nice, warm spring of a color. Could be blue or anything like this. And you are relaxed and you're not thinking about anything. And there is a happiness, enjoyment inside yourself.
I see just plain background with cream and yellowish color, like a kind of like horizon.
Water flowing. And the sunlight reflecting on the water, and tree branches cutting across the sunlight, and shadows dancing.
A woodland area, perhaps with a little stream running through it.
Waves splashing, whether it's a loch or the sea, the waves, or maybe a stream, and the trickle sounds, you know, of the pebbles moving and things like that. Yeah, like a heartbeat as well, you know, the sound of the waves. Yeah, I've got an affinity with those sounds and yeah, the feeling of water. I like this idea put forward, you know, well, not just contained to, but sort of, you know, the Prometheus film, the idea the aliens create us. I mean, this is old stuff as well, but we are currently creating AI, you know, and robotics. And, you know, logically thinking, that is going to result in some kind of, you know, self-awareness. You know, there reaches an aspect of complexity in biological evolution and in evolution full stop. You know, there's I'm trying to describe here. We have the ability to shape nature. I find that quite fascinating. You know, I like the moral questions that crop up over genetics and cloning and things like that. You know, I'm more interested in the questions that get thrown back in opposition to it, because we've been cultivating the planet since we, you know, first started developing tools. You know, and I don't think anything in nature is a mistake. So maybe this is our purpose. Maybe that is our purpose, is to cultivate the environment around us. And if it turns out that we're alone, then if we were the only ones in the universe, we've actually thought that for most of our existence, modern existence, that we are the only people here. Maybe it's up to us to make some other people, you know, help other life forms to evolve into intelligent life. Yeah, I like that idea. I don't care who hits back with all the ethical questions. I like that idea. I find that quite moving, actually. The fact that we will possibly become the creators. I think there's something nice about that. Yeah.
We are not doing the world any
any good. If we're talking about other aspects of the world in terms of music and art and the cultural sphere, oh, definitely. But if we're talking about the actual planet itself, no, we are doing far more damage, and we know it, and there are people who keep turning a blind eye. So, culturally speaking, yes. Spiritually speaking, sometimes. Environmentally speaking, absolutely not. We have not learned to get past that immature, infantile stage of me, I want what gratifies me right now, and not think about what benefits the planet, what benefits humanity in the long run. It is all about what I need right now, and I want all the toys, I want all the money, I want all the food right now, only for me. We are still incredibly immature as a species, incredibly immature. We react to the way, if a little toddler sees a piece of food that it likes, it'll just keep eating. It doesn't know when to stop. We're still in that phase. We see what we're doing around us, to ourselves, to each other, to the planet badly. We're, as a race, we're still in a very infantile stage. I think it's easier to be selfish because the first thing we understand is ourselves and our needs first. And then we have to move externally to have sympathy, to understand that there are others around us, that there's a world that we need to protect and cherish. To the people living on Earth 100 years after us, please, please, please see our mistakes and avoid them. And don't let yourselves fall into the same trap that we keep falling into decade after decade, century after century. Find a way to rise above the basic negative instincts that we have of selfishness, of greed, of jealousy, and find a way to grow.
Happy the man whose wish and care a few paternal acres bound, content to breathe his native air in his own ground, whose herds with milk, whose fields with bread, whose flocks supply him with attire, whose trees in summer yield him shade, in winter fire. Blessed who can unconcernedly find hours, days, and years slide soft away, in health of body, peace of mind, quiet by day, sound sleep by night, study and ease, together mixed, sweet recreation and innocence, which most does please with meditation. Thus let me live, unseen, unknown, thus unlamented let me die. Steal from the world and not a stone, tell where I lie.